So welcome back, everyone, and I'm very happy to introduce to you Lucian Precup and Vincent Bosc. And in their talk, they will speak about Forget Facets, Welcome Refinements. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Rene. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for the great organization and for bringing the community together again this year. I hope to see in person in maybe in a year. Congratulations, Rene, for the news that you gave us in the beginning of the conference, or should I say, congratulations, Open Source Connections, for your development. And yes, so we will talk about facets and how they evolved during time and how we think they will evolve. We call this new class of facets refinements. So refinements is something that's where the search engines go, in our opinion. So speaking of search engines, we all know what they are used for. Many people think that search engines are used to find things, but actually search engines are more than that. They are your gateway to a lot of information. They allow you to access a lot of unstructured data in something which is more structured, in some way which is more structured. They allow you to access a lot of heterogeneous data, and for a lot of us, the search engine is actually the homepage of the internet even. If you look at how Google defines a search engine, it's actually a tool that organizes information and makes it accessible and useful. So the search engine, it's actually much broader than just something you use to find something.
Yeah, and as Lucian said, search engines are the main gateway to information. And of course, people can come here to find what they're specifically looking for, of course. But not only, because search engine can be a source of inspiration, because often, by instance, users are not exactly sure what they are looking for. And search engines have this double quality or utility, if you might say. And facets have as well this kind of double utility. They are here to refine your results, and with several iterations, you can go closer and closer to what you're looking for. But they can as well serve as a summary of your data, a panorama, or like kind of an overview of all what you're looking for.
So facets actually gave birth to a whole new class of utilizations that is what we call also aggregations sometimes, that are useful for monitoring, log analysis, observability, which is a way different class of usage of a search engine. And this is the second use case which is there. Now, if we take a step back and we see how facets evolve, so for those that might ask what are facets, sometimes we call them filters. You can call them filters also, and we will see how they evolve and how they transformed, how they have been transformed during the last few years, and how they will evolve in the next years. These are facets that are 20-year-old facets, let's say, as you can see, so they fulfill their purpose. They give you an overview of the data. They can tell you that okay, you have that many customers, that many former customers, that many future customers, that many companies as a customer, that many people as a customer. And they also allow you to filter down, you know, this funnel that allows you to go step by step to the information that you're searching for. So yeah, this was 20 years ago, and
here this one is quite new. I mean, it has been like maybe 2 years ago, or yeah, something like this. And it's an e-commerce example of French e-commerce, and you can see it's still the same kind of facets. It hasn't evolved much. It's very traditional for e-commerce website. You have like you can filter by type, by brand, and you have small evolutions like a small search bar in the facet, but it's still the same kind of facet than 20 years ago. And here again, you see that it's still you have selected facet which can be discarded. Facet options are visible. You can discard them. You have one particular facet, which is an horizontal bar, like a main directory, but it's still, we give these basic examples to illustrate that evolution has been at the margin of facets. It's interesting, but it's not, it's hardly spectacular. It's still the same recipe.
a small parenthesis, because we can see it very well here, just about the terminology that we are using. And the slight difference between facet and filters, again, they are often called just filters. We call facet actually the possible values and the values that give you an overview of your data. In this case, so you have the values that you can use for filtering, and we call filter actually the values that are selected. So you can drill down to what you're searching. So just a small parenthesis on the terminology. We use the two terms, facets for what's returned by the search engine and filters for what's received by the search engine. Yes, and just a small parenthesis again. We talk a lot about facets and about some technical details behind them in this talk that took place in 2019, thanks to Open Source Connections. And if you want to drill down into the technical details, you can see this conference also. Right now, we will not drill down that much into the technical details. We'll just keep it high level.
And so here, another example of facets. So it's still a small evolution. It's hierarchical facets. It's not so easy to implement technically, but it's still the same basic recipe. It's still the same kind of facet than before. And here another one. And here again, you have evolution at the margin. The philosophy is still the same. You have some work in terms of user experience because we have like now images instead of classic checkboxes. And you can say that it's more blended with the search results, but it's the same kind of facets still behind the curtains.
And you have some other types of facets. Okay, so you still call them facets. Technically, in Elasticsearch. So this is a screenshot from Kibana that works with Elasticsearch. Technically, they are called now aggregations, but they are still facets from the functional point of view. You might call them exotic, but because they are displayed in a different manner, you have histograms, you have bar charts, you have even a map there. They fulfill the same role. They give you an overview of the data that you have, and they also allow you to filter. You can choose a country, for example, or the time frame, and drill down to get to what you're looking for. And as I said, this type of use case actually gave birth to a much broader use case, which is observability, and some search technologies like Elasticsearch are kind of 90%, or no, I will not say exclusively used for this type of use case.
And with all these many examples that we have seen, the main idea is that the technical ingredients were always the same. And these facets and filters are almost always based on document values. You only take as an ingredient what you have in your corpus. And the technical tools to get them are called aggregation in Elasticsearch, facets in Solr, and are always the same tools as well. So it's very valuable, it's very useful. It's still the go-to method to refine your results, but room for extraordinary improvement is limited if you only base what you call a broader category called refinement only on that.
Everything that you have seen till now is actually the same technical thing, which is this one, more or less, with some smaller adjustments. Yes. Now, if we move on and see where we are going and what's happening today, you can see that facets are kind of starting to disappear. They are actually doing that mostly because of lack of space, but not only because of that, also because of like new types of usages, like the mobile that came here. And yeah, you kind of see that this technology that's very powerful, that again powers use cases like observability, like security and all that, kind of starts to find its limits in today's usages. So in this example, you see that the facets are still there, yeah, we kind of try to fit them in, but we struggle. Same example here, you actually have, so this is a search engine that kind of looks like Google. It's an internal Google actually. You see that you have to click on the display search filters button in order to be able to get to these facets, so to the filters. And if we go even further, we are starting to get into devices that don't even have a screen. So what do you do here? Should we, how can we display any facet or any filter whatsoever? The entire user experience changes. Yes.
Yeah, here is a kind of a mixed evolution. It's like half screen, half vocal, but still here, the facets can be the same way that they used to be. And you can see that evolution of facets or ways of result refinement is pushed by technology. Traditional facets as aggregation of results based only on data is not enough anymore, and the traditional way to display them is not adapted to evolution of technology.
Yes. So starting from now, we will start calling them actually refinements, and we'll actually find again one of the functions of the search engine, which is inspiration, because in some situations, these new concepts, which kind of look like the old facets, actually give you more results, actually send you in a different direction than in the one that you first took. So that the funnel representation of this is no longer appropriate. Yes, go ahead.
And here you have some chatbots, and they have become some kind of source of inspiration for a new kind of refinement. Here you have automatic answering and introduction of machine learning, analysis of user signals, and it looks a bit like Facet because you can click and refine what you're looking for.
Yes, and it's yeah, they look like facets, but actually they are something else, and they have the same meaning. They can help you find what you search. but they work in a very different manner. If we go back to our friend Google, you actually see also like these refinements coming into place. So in this example, there's also another usage of this, which is disambiguation. And as you can see, you can clearly see the inspiration function, because the options that are proposed here can give you more results that you originally thought, can also head you to a different direction that you originally thought. And yeah, these are options that are given to you to advance in your quest, in your research. But they are actually they are displayed as questions that the search engine asks you. The same thing here. These also look like facets, but are actually technically not implemented the same way. They are kind of like suggestions. They can refine, but they can also inspire.
And here is still a French website. And here it's inspired a bit like by chatbots or automatic answering. Facets are replaced by more original refinements. And here it's a mix between filtering and auto-completion. Here on the screen, basically, the client is looking for chocolate, and the refinements are asking him if he wants black chocolate or chocolate of a certain brand. And it's actually much more efficient than facets, because we add twice more add to baskets than top facets in this example. And there is a tunnel of browsing, because what people used to type with their keyboards, there are no clicking. And it's not only based on data like traditional facets, but now we use user signals and data analysis for generating these refinements.
You can see some remnants of facets here, like in the values that are proposed to improve your query. You can see here the brand somehow. You can see here some properties like the bio there, which means it was a former facet. But you can also see something else that resembles more to auto-completion, which is complete and fresh, which is so it relates to pasta that we have searched. So yes, you can kind of see the turn of the technology. And by the way, just a small parenthesis also, the screenshots that we are displaying are taken from some applications that we have developed. They might be in French sometimes, so but I think you get the idea behind that.
And here again, like frontiers are blurred. Like before, we saw that refinements were a bit like auto-completions. It was a mix between old facets and auto-completion. And now you can even choose refinements. You can choose auto-completion sentences, which can be refined from the start. You can see the top 3 lines. So everything is a bit blurred as well between all the tools we have around the search engine.
And if you go, we go back to this disruptive use case, which is the extreme one, where you do not have a screen. This is actually taken from a voice assistant. So this is an illustration of the conversation that goes between the voice assistant and the user. So you see how the refinements came into place. So actually, you're searching for something, and the voice assistant is trying to assist you to refine your query. So we are still in the funnel, because in the end, you will find what you're looking for, which is a precise product. But the way of going there is actually different. So the refinement is different. So in this example, in the first iteration, you have 920 products. and then you have to add some filters to this initial query. So the voice assistant will help you do that. Just as Facets helped you do that before. At the second iteration, you still have a lot of results, and you have to provide another additional information. So you go through the funnel like this with the help of the voice assistant.
And here it's as well an evolution of refinements, a side step in another direction. It's to allow like the main web search engine like Google to index some faceted results. Because usually for web search engine like Google, it's impossible to index the results of your faceted results. But here you see more and more like facets appearing in the address bar, not after a question mark as parameters and values, as field values, but straight in the address bar, which is a way to allow Google or Bing or other search web engine to index these results, which is obviously very good
so
for
the frontier between structured and unstructured, between full text and filters is kind of blurred again in the other way. Here's the same example, but we have just one value that was selected. And again, these slides are in French, but I mean, you get the idea. We have searched for baskets for women, and they are red. Okay.
And here it's like a summary of what we said. Basically, we can see that the technology, before the technology were only, but still very useful, like aggregation slash or facet in Elasticsearch or Solr. And now we are using more and more NLU and NLP machine learning. We are looking at user signals and not only what are in the documents. We do more entity extraction, and the same way that search evolves with this technology, facets are evolving as well. Refinements.
Yeah, we don't have time to go much into the technical detail, but the key point here is that as for 20 years, you could do everything around filters and refinements. I mean, the facets, the old facets, with a single technology like Lucian. Today, with the new use cases and with a new way of using the search engine, you have to actually go beyond that. So you need a lot more data, not just the initial data, but you need also like logs and personal data maybe, and you need specific indices. You need machine learning a lot, and this helps a lot for these new use cases. Some technical details are presented in these two talks, so you can see kind of a lot of technical details on these subjects at Haystack and at Buzzwords, and to also introduce a workshop that will take place tomorrow. Technologies like Querqy also help in this situation. So if you look at this example, it's actually quite interesting, because you have like a query which is a full text query, and actually the technology helps you transform this user query into the former facet. So it allows you to use the former technology, which is in this case a Lucian, via Solr or Elasticsearch, but with a new way of using it. So the user query is notebook 15-inch, and actually the technical query that's behind it is text notebook screen size between 12 and 16.5 inch. So it's really, really powerful. But again, we have to use more than just a search engine and more than just Lucian in this case. This was the last slide, and yeah, I will hand over to you for questions. What do you think? What will be next? How refinements will look in the future? Yeah, will they look like that, or maybe something else?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think this was very inspiring and made us think once again about facets. And it looks like this MICES will all be all about the future and query understanding, it seems. So there are a number of questions in the channel, and we have about 5 minutes left. So I start with Daniel's question or remark, and I think Daniel has quite a track record on facets, and he's even written a book on facet search. He says, one of the advantages of traditional faceted refinement is the predictability. You typically start with a large, broad set of results and progressively narrow it down by specifying constraints through facet values. In contrast, some of these other refinement paradigms are highly non-linear and may even take searcher and cycles. How do you overcome the challenges of traditional facets while still offering the search a kind of proprioception, so they know where they are, where they have been, and where they can go? Yeah, so maintain this notion of a path through the data. I think that's the key question here. So yes, when you go to refinements.
Thank you for this question. It's really interesting as a reflection, and you're right. It's completely true. We have actually today we have constraints. Screens are getting smaller and smaller. Users are getting yeah, they are more yeah, they have less time. They use different ways of communicating with the search engine. So sometimes we have to take a bet. We say, okay, we don't give you all the options, but we try to guess which are the best one for you. If you take a look at the refinements that we showed on the Carrefour's website, and also take the opportunity to introduce a talk that we'll have tomorrow with Carrefour, and we will talk also about some technical details behind that. If you take the example from Carrefour, actually you have things that were present in the facets in the facets before, and we actually had to take a guess about what's the most relevant for the user, and to simplify all that. But of course, you cannot be exhaustive. You have some advanced users that will kind of not find their way through this approach. And you also have the problem of machine learning, which is kind of a black box, sometimes, like you say, unpredictable. So yes, it's kind of a trade-off. We have to advance in this direction because of the new ways of using the technology, because of the new devices, because of the new users and user behavior. But of course, we have to also keep the old technology, because it already has a great value there.
Yeah, I think the two questions or remarks in the chat from Andreas and Kazi point into the same direction. So Andreas says, facet navigation map would be kind of nice in that respect, showing the logical connection of things and the path followed, combining semantics, logical paths, and orientation. And then proper display would be another thing to solve. So again, okay, how do I find orientation? And Kazi says, I think by using refinement, if we go from coarse grained queries to fine-grained queries, by traversing a knowledge graph, we would be sure to find and narrow our search. Yeah, so still again, this idea of a path. My question would have been, oh, so sorry, if you want to react to this, yeah.
No, just a
Go
small, if you take into account the other usage of a search engine, which is inspiration, because sometimes you're searching for something, but it's actually not the right thing to search for. So this is something where the new ways of doing things is really powerful, because it can inspire you to search somewhere else. It can direct you to a different path that you imagined initially. So the fact that the refinements allow you to actually broaden your data set, it's also something which is interesting.
Yeah, I think on a related note, Leandro points to the case where maybe I can take information from facets to handle even zero results. Yeah, so recommend something that I know about the query or from the query, and show a different path. I think we're at the end of this talk, so thank you very much again. So I think this was very inspiring, and I guess facets and refinements will never be a solved problem. And of course, I want to point out again that we can meet Lucian and Vincent later on, probably on social chat.